Alright, hello guys, this is General Profit, and this is a little bit of an unusual recording, because today I'm going to teach you Minesweeper, at least the knowledge I have on Minesweeper. Alright, so first what you're probably going to want to do to start is click one of the central blocks. Doesn't really matter, like I can click here. And the way Minesweeper works is if there's an unconcealed if there's a blue block that's not showing a number, it could possibly have a mine, and the actual numbers, the amount that shows the amount of mines adjacent to the number. So as we can tell here, there's only one square adjacent to this mine, so there's a mine there, and we already know there's a mine there, so there cannot be a mine there, there. And if you look further down here, we already have the mine for that, so we can clear out all those. Same with that one. And we can apply that to all of these. It's like the most classic Minesweeper tactic, and it's very simple to do. And that rules out all those. But it doesn't get us all the way. And the reason why I'm doing intermediate is, well, I could do advanced, but advanced can come down to, well, RNG essentially, when it comes down to things. But usually nearer to the end. I might do one if this doesn't take too long. And you can tell here, 2 mines adjacent. So if I breeze through this, and then you see here there can only be 1 mine within these 2 spaces, and for this there can only be 1 mine in these 3 spaces. So if there has to be a mine within here, that means there cannot be one here. That is another tactic we can unveil there. I'll just breeze through this. And here we have the conundrum that there can only be 1 mine within here, and there has to be 2 mines within here. So we can determine that this is a mine, in fact. And that makes this simpler, because you can see now that we know that's a mine. That clears up that area, so we know that that's not a mine, and this is. And now I'll just breeze through all this again. And now we get to a bit of a tricky part. But we can indeed determine that there is 1 mine within here, because it's already had 1 mine taken up. And of course you can see there must be 2 mines within here, which means that there has to be a mine here for that to be true. As if there was any more than, well, 1 second, let me have a quick think about this. Because there has to be 2 mines within here. So for there to be one, if there were, let's say, a mine here and a mine here, that could not be true, that there would be a mine there. So there must be a mine here for that to remain true. And that reveals to us this, which doesn't help us too much, but it reveals there's one mine within here. There's got to be one mine within here, which, as you could think that this would come down to RNG, but it actually doesn't, because we only have one mine remaining. So if there has to be one mine within here, and one mine within here, the mine has to be there. And there we have it. We've won this game of Minesweeper. Now that the tutorial's basically finished, I will show you a game of Expert, or at least Advanced rather, and I will try to do it as quick as I can. Using the tactics that I already explained. Now, here's another example of where it comes in. You see, there are 4 mines surrounding this, which means that there could only be one within these 2 tiles. And then you have the 2 here, which shows there can only be one within these 3 tiles, which means there cannot be a mine there. Now this gets a little bit problematic, as we know that there has to be one within here and one within here. You know, one within either of these 2 spaces. So we'll come back to that one, and if we have to ultimately guess, then we'll have to. But it's best leaving it till last, just in case there isn't any more guesses that you have to do. Because if there isn't, you could probably figure out that, by the amount of mines that are there. And then sometimes even take an educated guess as to where it will actually be. For example, if there was only one mine left, then it would have to be here. got some problematic things. So often the edges like here will present us with what we've already done before. So there has to be one mine within here, two within here, so we can conclude there's a mine here, and not here and here, and there has to be a mine there. Ones are very useful to actually cancel out where mines can and cannot be, but also they can sort of be unlucky due to the fact that they can lead to some later game problems, where for example you're getting lots of 2s and 3s, which can make your life a whole lot more difficult. And the reason why, of course, that wasn't a mine is due to the fact that that's essentially a 1, due to the fact that we already know that there's a mine there. Now we've got a bit of a difficult problem here, again. Can we solve it though? Well, we know that there must be one within these two squares, and there must be one within these two squares, and of course there must be one within these two squares, which suggests somewhat of a 2-mine conundrum. But we'll leave that for a little bit later, probably after guess. As I mentioned, you do sort of have to do that quite a bit on advanced once you get to a certain part in the game. Must be one within these two squares and two within these, so there has to be a mine there. Now we're at a tricky part in the game of advanced. Let's see if we can do anything about it. So there's got to be 2 mines within here, and there have to be 2 mines within here, and 2 mines within all of here. So there's a good chance that the mines will actually be here. due to the fact that there's only a slight chance for there to be actually a mine above here. If you notice, if there has to be one mine within here, due to the fact that if there's a mine here, then one of the other two has to be within here. Which means there must be one within here. So there has to be a mine there. Now we're here. So you can conclude there is one mine within here. And there's one within here. There's a good chance that there's a mine there. But we can't determine anything about that yet. Not 100% anyway. So, if there has to be a mine within there, we know that there's a 1 in 3 chance that we can find a mine up here. Which means that that's better than usual odds if you want to take an educated guess. Let's conclude there's one mine within here. One mine within here. So we can conclude that is not a mine. And that actually helps us a lot due to the fact that we can now determine that those two are in fact mines. Which puts this in the clear. And now we're making a fair bit of progress. He says as progress stops. Alrighty. So there's gotta be one mine within here. One within here. Suggests there's a fair chance that it'll be there. But not guaranteed. We know that there are 3 mines around here, possibly 4, I believe. So now let's take a look around here. There's got to be one mine within here, one within here, and one within here. Just going to determine there's probably about 2 mines there. There's one within here. Oh wait, got an interesting one. We got a 3. So there has to be one within here. And there also has to be one within here. So from that information from the 2, it tells us that there's one within here. We can see that that is a 3 and it has no adjacent mines, so we can determine there are 2 within here. Whereas there are only 1 within here, suggests there's a mine there. Doesn't help us a right lot, but at least it's 1 less mine off the board, which always helps. Now we know there's 1 within here, there's 1 within here, which suggests there's an intersection. There's probably a mine in either of those 2 blocks. We know there's 1 within here, and there is indeed 1 within here. That doesn't help us. Let's see if we can find anything up here. Alright, so we know there's 1 within here. We know that there's 1 in either of those 2 spaces. And we know there's 1 within here. So I'm gonna take a guess, the actual first guess of this, and I'm gonna guess that there's a mine there. And if that's true, there cannot be a mine there. And that reveals as true. That was a little bit of an educated guess, but it paid off in the end. And then we can find out there's a mine there. And it all comes up roses. Beautiful. That guess helped us move things along a lot. Alright, so now we're back to the 50-50, so to say. Well, things usually come back to here. Alright, so what information we got? So you know there's one mine within here, definitely. And we know that there's definitely a mine between here, so there could only be one mine here. As evidently, there has to be one within here, and there also has to be one within here. Which means we know that there are two mines there, so there cannot be a mine there. Which reveals to us that the mine is indeed there. Which is why it was better for me to leave that until the end, rather than taking a guess. But now it does come to a guess, as the mines are either here and here, or here and here. Now, let's take a guess and let's hope we're right. And we are indeed right. And we have just won this game of Advance. Ladies and gents, this is General Profit on the Minesweeper tutorial, and that is how you win a game